guys, what is up? Welcome back to another video. So today's topic is restrictive eating, and I'm going to be talking about it in the context with acne. Now, this is a topic which is very near and dear to my heart because it's something that I went through my own journey with acne. Now being, many years later, I'm out the other side. I'm actually a trained naturopathic nutritionist now, and I have a career where I help people with their skin. I have so much knowledge now. When I look back at that time, there's so much I wish someone told me when I was going through that, and I wish I knew when I was going through that. And I just want to put all of that in today's video, and hopefully it's going to help any of you guys who maybe are going through that period of your journey right now and are struggling with a little bit of restrictive thoughts around food. I'm really hoping this video is going to be helpful. Okay, so the first thing that I have to start off with is the food isn't always the problem. It's actually how our body responds to the food, okay? This is a statement really that is really key to get your head around, because I think we put so much on the focus on the food. Like, for example, sugar. Yes, we know in excess amounts, yes, it can affect the skin, but again, it's not necessarily the sugar on its own, it's how our body's responding to the sugar. There's a really great account that I came across recently on Instagram. Her name's Glucose Goddess. She does some really great graphs of this. Examples where you could eat, I love the post she did about M&Ms, like you eat a portion of M&Ms on their own, that's going to give you a big spike. So yes, that glucose response is going to give you more of a negative response, symptom wise. But if you have the same portion of M&Ms after a chicken salad, for example, with lots of protein, that protein is going to dampen down those sugar spikes, and you're going to have a different glucose response. So your symptoms are going to be a lot better. So yeah, in relation to sugar with the skin, yes, sugar can worsen people's skin, but it really comes down to the effect that sugar is having on your blood glucose response. And that's the part you need to work on and support. It's not realistic to be like, oh my gosh, sugar's breaking me out. That's it. I'm never going to touch any sugar, a piece of cake, a donut, whatever it is, again, for the rest of my life. That's not realistic, and that's going to create a lot of stress. Like, that stresses me out just even saying it. I could not go through life without having any cake. And this is also why maybe you're restricting lots of foods and you're not seeing results, is because all that stress that restriction causes, that is far more problematic for the skin. Like, I always say that as well to clients. It's like, sometimes all that stress you create thinking, oh my God, it's gonna break me out. Oh my God, that's it. Now I'm gonna have a massive flare up. Like, that emotional state is going to drive your hormones crazy, and you'll find actually that's far more problematic than you just eating the food that you probably were frightened to touch. Now, there is one thing, of course, I need to say on this, is that if a food gives you digestive upset, like if you eat a food and then you're on the toilet 2 minutes later, or if you eat a food and you've got loads of bloating and pain, then that's more leaning on like an intolerance allergy side. If you have an actual intolerance or allergy to a food, of course, then it is recommended that you do remove that food from the diet. Definitely. That's causing inflammation. You don't want that within you. So that's the only exception. But if a food is not giving you any negative symptoms, any reactions in that kind of sense, and acne is your only concern, then restricting it out of your diet is probably totally unnecessary. And again, going back to what I just said a minute ago, all that stress you're creating when you're, restricting that food is probably far more problematic. You are much better to have more of a balance and moderation approach. Like, let's take dairy as an example. When it comes to an acne-prone skin, if you are not having an allergy or intolerance-like reaction to dairy, you probably will find the issue is more down to quality and quantity. So firstly, with quantity, if you are drip feeding your body every day with a little bit of dairy constantly, then yes, that could be aggravating the skin, because we know that dairy does contain something called insulin growth factor, which can increase testosterone, it can increase the sebum production on the skin, and also increase inflammation, which is an absolute triad for an acne blemish. And yes, when people do take dairy out of their diet, a lot of people do see good results with their skin, and then automatically they think, oh my God, that's it, dairy triggers me to break out. But actually the reality of it is probably you've gone from having dairy probably daily nearly in your diet to having none at all. And actually, you probably find your body can cope with a little bit. And you may find, 2 times a week or occasion, like when you go out for dinner and you're, eating a meal out, having a little bit of dairy is not a problem. You've got to think about kind of like the bucket analogy, is that if you keep overfilling that bucket, eventually it is going to overfill, and that's when we get the symptoms. But you've got to poke holes in it, you've got to tip water out, you've got to let things come down, and that's kind of the analogy of like taking a break, not having it daily, letting your body have a bit of a break for a couple of days and then having it back in the diet. Like, that's how we keep more of a balance and a moderation approach with these things, and we can enjoy a life where we don't have to restrict anything, but yeah, we just have things in moderation and balance. The second thing I just want to quickly touch on about dairy, I'm not making this a dairy video, but the second thing just to also touch on with dairy again is the quality. Huge difference. Like, if you get really cheap quality dairy, that is going to have more growth hormone in it. You've got to think about the cow's welfare. They are going to put more growth hormones into those cows to increase the milk supply, and that is the dairy you're going to be drinking, and it is those growth hormones, which are aggravating our skin as well. So quality is everything. So you also can find prioritizing more of an organic or unpasteurized butter, for example, good quality dairy has a much better response from a skin perspective. Okay, so another thing I think it's important to know about when you get yourself into more of a restrictive mindset and a place is that you've got to think about the repercussions of that. And this is something that when I was going through my journey, I didn't think about. And let me take you back to my journey, kind of where I was at. I was restricting, like, in terms of I was scared to touch sugar. I was being so careful with like what I was eating. Like, I wasn't even touching fruits at the time. I was that strict with my sugar intake. I was really picky on my macronutrients. I think I was avoiding fats at one point maybe as well. Like, yeah, I was really going quite extreme on things, and I lost my period. My skin was an absolute mess. Like, literally things were at its peak basically, which then also drives me to get more restrictive. Now, taking a step back and looking back at me now, I'm like, oh my God, I was firstly malnutrition. Like, I was not eating enough food. So one, I had a calorie issue and I wasn't getting enough. So that is definitely going to shut off your hypothalamus, which controls your hormones. And that's going to stop you having a period. So that's definitely one of the contributing reasons why I lost my period. The second thing, going back to the malnourishment, is I wasn't getting all my nutrients. Like, I probably wasn't getting enough fats. Hormones are made from fat, so if you're not having enough fat in the diet, in good amounts, then your hormones are going to be struggle to produce as it is. I wasn't probably getting enough protein. I think back then I was even probably more of like a vegan lifestyle back then. Definitely wasn't getting enough protein in my diet. And yeah, just my macronutrients and my vitamins and minerals, honestly, like, pretty poor. I don't think that I was really supporting myself well at all. And you've also got to think the body is so clever. If you're going to put yourself in a restricted state, your body learns that and taps into that. So then when you do eat food, like, it's going to prioritize where it puts its energy basically. And think about it, your hair, skin and nails, what importance are they? Like, your energy is going to go to your vital organs. And so yeah, these things are going to be affected by that. So malnourishment and not getting enough variety and nutrients into the diet, that's definitely going to negatively impact the skin. So you've also got to think about it from that perspective as well. Like, am I actually supporting my body enough? And then something that I've already touched on very briefly at the start of this video, but I do want to just touch on again now, is that mental aspect. I think this is the biggest thing which actually impacts us the most from going through a restrictive period with our food, is that the mental stress that we put on ourselves and the thoughts and the things that we tell ourselves. Because honestly guys, like, we are our thoughts. If you tell yourself, like, if I ate, let's say I ate a banana, for example, if I said to myself so much, this is going to break me out, that's it, I'm going to break out tomorrow, I'm definitely going to break out from this, oh my God, I've got an acne flare up coming, like, it's definitely going to happen. Like, honestly, chances are it will happen because you have told yourself it happens so much. You honestly start to believe that, and the body is so fascinating in this sense. Like, it's kind of like a bit like manifestation in that kind of sense, and that's why people really get into that. Like, honestly, if you do think those thoughts so much, they really do happen. And the stress signals and all the chemical signals your body is sending in that moment where you are getting yourself a bit panicked about that, yeah, it's gonna end in that outcome. Like, honestly, like, if you are trying to balance hormones, in my opinion, there's two absolutely like key pillars. One is stress management and one is blood glucose management. Like if you are not supporting those two things and you're jumping ahead doing everything else, that's why you're not getting results. You've got to support your stress and your blood glucose. And those two are actually quite tightly connected because cortisol and insulin have quite a delicate relationship. Going back to the stress, it is such a huge aspect. And I think that we overshadow that by thinking that the food is the bigger problem, but actually, yeah, the state and the thoughts that you're telling yourself, all of that is really the key thing. I actually have a really exciting project on the way. I don't have an exact date I'm going to be releasing it yet, but it's literally around the corner. So make sure you follow me on Instagram and yeah, all of that. So I'm actually making a whole mindset program at the moment for this very kind of subject we're talking about. Like it's going to include support with restrictions and all that, but it's going to really support you on all aspects of the mindset when you're going through your acne journey. So if that is something you are struggling with, like with the mindset side, and you are telling yourself lots of negative thoughts and you just feel like you're in a really low place, I am so excited to finally release that program. I've literally put everything into it that I just wish I had when I went through my acne journey. So yeah, that's going to be coming very soon. And I'm keeping it very inexpensive, by the way, guys. It's not going to have a really high price tag on it at all because I just want to help as many people as possible. So I'm going to keep it on the lower side. I think the biggest thing that I can really leave you with, and the biggest thing for you to take away though from this video, is to really start changing your perspective a little bit on this and realizing it's not actually the food that you need to be focused on. You need to be focused on the interactions with those foods, because what you need to get to the bottom of is the root imbalance. Like how I work as a naturopathic nutritionist is about identifying what those imbalances are within someone. When you do start supporting the imbalances and you're supporting how your body interacts and how your body responds to that food, you will find with time your body actually will respond to lots of foods better and better and better. So that is where your focus needs to be, instead of just going, oh, I said I've got to cut out that, got to cut out that, got to cut out that. No, start thinking, okay, how can I help my body tolerate this better? That is where the mindset needs to be. And if you're really struggling with that, I mean, that is literally what I do as a job as a naturopathic nutritionist. It's all about, as I said, identifying those imbalances and giving people plans and sort of giving them all the support to correct those. And that is how we heal the skin as well. So if you are struggling, do remember I do free discovery calls. They are a great starting place, no obligation. I'm not pushy at all. I only ever want to work with people who are really, really, you know, dedicated and really want to work with me and get to the bottom of things. So there's a great starting place. You can ask your questions about what the process would look like and see if it's the right fit for you, and we can kind of just take it from there. So yeah, do book in a discovery call if you feel like you would love some support in this area. But if not, I have lots of videos on this channel, and also do follow my Instagram because I'm always putting little bits of content out on there as well. Anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed the conversation we've had today. Please do give the video a thumbs up or let me know in the comments below, and just give me that, you know, that nod if you have really enjoyed this video. I hope everyone is doing well, and if you aren't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. I love you guys so much, sending you all my love and positivity and a big hug, and I will see you guys in my next video. Mwah. Bye.